Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Kerfuffle showcase. Today, looking at Mio with Jon Horton. Jon Horton, it's a return appearance here. You were on the panel the other day in sales progression. Welcome back.
Hi Simon, thanks for having me back.
That's okay. I don't think you get a sort of membership card or something, not yet, but we'll send you some pink Kerfuffle merch to thank you for being such a good guest. So could you give us just an overview, I suppose, of what Mio is all about and what's the problem it's trying to solve?
Yeah, sure. Well, in a nutshell, Simon, Mio is a sales progression and communication platform that is designed for estate agents, and it provides a really simple process for agents to follow, which allows them to manage their pipeline much more effectively by providing a single chain view. So it's removing lots of duplication, and it's providing a single chain view for everyone to connect to and kind of progress together. And it solves numerous problems that kind of combined contribute to kind of slow pipeline turnover. And perhaps the biggest problem of all is that lack of transparency in the current process, because typically all agents tend to be doing their sales progression in a very much an isolated way. So, you know, if you're a poor agent in that chain trying to find out, you know, the state of play further up and down the chain, you're typically resorting to lots of phone calls and chasing and emails and so forth, just trying to find out where everyone's at. And it's a bit old-fashioned, really, when you think about all the wonderful technology that's available to us now.
Yeah, why do you think that is? Why do you think we've been so... No, I'm not having a go at you, by the way. Why have you taken so long? At least you're solving the issue. Why do you think it has taken so long? As you said, it's not like this feels like it's otherworldly, is it? There are other industries that are doing this sort of thing better.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I think partly it's to do with human nature, and there's a resistance to sort of changing habits. That's probably, you know, you talk to any, you know, technology provider out there, and there's some wonderful ideas and some wonderful technology out there, but trying to get traction and adoption is probably the single biggest challenge, because it involves people changing habits. But I think in the UK market over the last 18 months, there just seems to be much more kind of focus and inertia and around really driving change for the good of everyone involved in that whole home moving process. Because quite frankly, when you compare our process to, you know, the way in which you buy and sell homes around the world, it does seem to be very archaic. It just needs to change, doesn't it? So, you know, we're fortunate, we're backed by some very supportive shareholders who have allowed us to sort of, you know, invest in that technology and try and help to drive some of the change that the market's desperate for.
So I suppose the question I should be asking is really not why should agents, why would they not get on board with this? Can you, playing devil's advocate against your own service, which is a bit weird, why would people not try to get involved to make this? Because transparency only ever helps, doesn't it, as far as I can see?
Well, it does, unless you're an agent that doesn't like transparency, because you know that you're not very good at sales progression and you don't want to expose some of your weaknesses.
Let me just deal with that. If you're watching and you're really shady, Mio is not the client of the product. We're only looking for the board agents. Yeah,
everyone can change. Sorry, Simon. Just track back. Take me back to your original question there.
Why would somebody not getting involved? Is there a perception that it's just, I suppose, in my head, it's just another tool we have to use? But realistically, as I said, given it's part of the process that they have to do anyway, it is a tool that supports them. So again, look, we'll come on to the pricing and everything else later and everything else, but there's nothing in that model that prevents them from really using this properly, is there?
There isn't. Well, first of all, when people actually see a live demo from one of our account managers and they see how it all knits together, particularly with the consumer using the app, all of a sudden they get it and they think, well, this is brilliant. You know, we should be using this. So perhaps one of the reasons why people, you know, don't get it is because they don't necessarily fully understand it, and their mindset is, oh, it's a sales progression tool and I've got that inbuilt into my CRM system, so I don't really need that. But actually, it's not there to replace a CRM system. It's actually to do a very important part of the process, but in a really simple, easy to follow, joined up way. And that's where it's very, very different. I think the other reason why perhaps people think, oh yeah, it's not really for us, is because with a lot of technology, the knee-jerk reaction from perhaps agents is, well, of course, I can't use it because it doesn't integrate with my CRM system.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I mean, obviously, this is where I have to put my hands in the air and kind of apologise there. That was always something that we were beset with suppliers saying, look, you know, we've literally got loads of agents who want to join us, but because you aren't able to do the integration, they're not on board. Now, one thing I would just that I do actually know as well is it did allow agents to take a bit of a lazy sort of approach. If they didn't like a supplier for whatever reason, they would just throw out that sort of thing. But yeah, just because you have the same, may ostensibly have the same fields in Mio or another sales progression tool, chain building tool, and your CRM, does not mean that they are doing the same job, does it?
No, not at all. And quite frankly, you know, Mio solves an immediate problem for agents in terms of joining up that sales progression process and trying to speed up pipeline turnover. And we do appreciate that, you know, if you need to rekey a bit of data to get it into Mio, you know, that is a bit tedious. But actually, the reality is it only takes about 30 seconds to put a property record into Mio. Unless, of course, the other agent that you're in the chain with has already done it for you because they've actually built the chain. So you could actually log in, land into Mio and find that 10 Acacia Avenue that you're selling has already been plugged in, and a lot of the work's been done because there's that collaboration with agents pulling on the rope in the same direction. And the thing is, to integrate with all of the various CRM platforms out there would take an awfully long time. They've all got their own technical roadmaps and their own priorities and so forth. And I think waiting, it just doesn't really help the agent overcome a number of their immediate problems. And the big problem at the moment that everyone is shouting about is, yeah, we're really busy, lots of listings and so forth, but when we actually come to tie up a sale, it's just taken us forever and a day to actually turn that pipeline over and get that sale through. And that's what we're aiming to help them with.
I think that secret sauce you talk about there, though, in terms of what you didn't label it, but I certainly will, is that self-building chain is incredibly powerful. And I mean, it's great now, and let's be honest, as you're at the start of your journey here, but where it will become absolutely compelling is as we hit a critical mass, and a number of those properties in that chain are already there and being updated, that's where this really starts to pay massive dividends, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we are acutely aware of that need to try and get more and more data into Mio. And you know, that one of the big problems around that, well, yeah, my reason not to is because you don't integrate with my CRM. But trust me, Simon, we're working on a number of initiatives, and hopefully we'll be able to announce some exciting news in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks that will help.
Here first on Kerfuffle, of course. We want that.
Yeah, in the next 6 to 8 weeks that will help overcome part of that problem. And And actually, in preparation for today, I thought it would be quite nice just to throw up on screen what a Mio chain.
Let me put that slide on for you. There you are. So what we're looking at here.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is that I'm the agent at the bottom there, the Mio agent, and my property is ready to exchange. And actually, this demonstrates that Mio handles complex chains as well.
Split chain.
A split chain, moving upwards, split chain. And what we're seeing here is that there's complete transparency. So it's a fully qualified capped off chain.
Yeah.
And without actually calling either of those two agents, I would have a view of their milestones, because everyone's working with a milestone standard. Yeah. And I'll be able to see exactly how far through the process they are. So I can see that already visually, because I understand the system, that they're pretty well advanced. They're still at that sale agreed status, so they're not quite ready to exchange. But if they log in, they'll see me at the bottom, and I'm sat there ready to go, ready to exchange.
So just so I understand, John, when I'm looking at a system like this, one of the key things for me is, how quickly is it to pick something up? So if I'm looking at what's it there, French's Gate in the top left corner there, I can see that on the kind of the circle there, two segments are completed. So we're essentially 2/5 of the way through that.
We are. We break the sales progression down into 5 simple stages. So you've got getting prepared, searches and inquiries, contracts, and then finally exchange and complete. And obviously it's not a linear process, so any one of those first 3 segments can be in play at the same time. And obviously once you're through that segment, it turns to a solid color. But you can see visually there, it's very easy, simple to follow. But the other key thing, just to take us back to talking about data, is that when we're trying to make it less onerous for agents to update the progress, because we're starting to consume more and more data from other professionals that are involved in this process. So namely conveyancers, suppliers and mortgage brokers. So it could be that a number of the key milestone stages have actually been populated for that agent through a validated data feed. So, and in actual fact, 35% of properties in Mio currently benefit from at least one of the milestones being updated through an automated feed. So we're starting to move towards that stage of kind of, call it assisted, working towards hands-free sales progression for the agents. So it's good news for them, and obviously the more people embrace this, the better it becomes.
It's true. I say it a lot, but it's greater than the sum of the parts, isn't it? By the phrase at the moment, which is very popular, is all in this together. Well, actually, if you do throw yourself into Mio like this, everyone in the process committed to getting these sales through wins, don't they?
100%. I mean, I appreciate. Look, I've said it on numerous times. When you're competing for the listing, the gloves are off. And fair play. But when you're in a chain, if agents really do start to not view them as your arch rivals in the high street, but collaborate, because you've all got skin in the game, and if you can work harmoniously across that chain, everyone's going to benefit. And of course, what we're now starting to do, earlier this year as a first, we actually started serving up a restricted chain view to conveyancers as well, and that was a first for them. So that's really proving beneficial to conveyancers, because for the first time they can see the full picture, and that really helps them when they're managing their transactions and prioritizing work.
I've often heard it said that trying to get agents to do something is like herding cats. So I don't know what your challenge is trying to get agents and conveyancers, but it's cats and dogs. I don't know. But anyway, it's a laudable project, and I do mean that. I think it's, first of all, it looks great, really, really simple there. You can get into this very, very quickly and easily here. You mentioned there's a restricted view for conveyancers. Do you give the consumer access to this as well?
Yeah, the consumer is a really integral part of this because, and that's why we developed the Mio app that runs alongside it. So as an agent, I can invite my vendor or my buyer to register and download the app free of charge.
Yeah.
And they get a different view of the chain, kind of diagrammatic view, so that again there's that transparency. They can see where their property is in the chain. But as an agent, as I'm starting to do the sales progression, Mio is pushing automated notifications to me as the vendor, keeping me updated as to the progress. So I'm kind of sat there thinking, great, I'm reassured things are happening, but I'm also sometimes having a little bit of a nudge because there could be some tasks for me to do. And I spoke about this on a webinar the other week where sometimes areas of delay can actually be the vendors holding themselves up because they're slow in turning around legal forms. And it's those sorts of tasks that we would serve up with a due date and a reminder through the app. And it's proving to work really, really well because the way in which consumers like to gather information, view information, and communicate through chat messaging, you know, people are less inclined to kind of pick up the phone or send emails these days. It's kind of all done on one of these, isn't it, these days?
Absolutely. Well, look, you know, you've got to get past the email, haven't you, as well? Look, emails are a fantastic tool, but they pale into insignificance alongside your phone and app and notifications, don't they? Which just are the very first, you can't ignore, basically, can you, very, very easily these days? So that really makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, and you know, I suppose if you're an early adopter, you could argue that if you're out there doing market appraisals, and maybe you're the only agent that's truly embraced this in your high street today, you've perhaps got a competitive advantage because you're starting to build in that customer service element through the Mio app at listing stage. And we have had anecdotal stories and evidence from customers where they've said, you know, it certainly helped me win that listing. So, you know, agents should be mindful of that. But I would really encourage, you know, agents to sort of jump in on this and really create that kind of community approach because, like you said earlier, Simon, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. You're not allowed to use the you just need one more instruction to pay for this because that was the Simon Whale close. I copyrighted that and now everyone's thoroughly sick of it.
I'm a few people that say if I hear that one more time.
That's why I had to move on. You know, you were talking there though, and I guess you were being quite diplomatic, but you know, would it be fair to say that actually the vendor's holding it up a majority of the time, or am I over-egging that? Because I can just well imagine that they, you know, and I am genuinely thinking about my own disorganized self. The amount of times that, you know, what it doesn't really matter what it is, but I'm lambasting the fact that it's not moving forward. Then it's like, well, the reason why is I haven't sent XYZ bit of information or submitted this. Do you actually know what percentage of those blockers are essentially? Because that would be really fascinating to know. Maybe when we next talk, we could look at some analysis on that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that there's sufficient data to that level that's running through Mio at the moment to give you some real meaningful kind of stats off the back of that. But I think one of the reasons why sometimes vendors and buyers can sort of slow the whole process down themselves is because there's a bit of a lack of understanding of the process. I mean, let's face it, you know, people just don't move as frequently as they used to, you know, and actually that's where Mio also helps because within the app, it gives them some helpful guides as to those different stages that I described, such as, you know, getting prepared, you know, what on earth, you know, I'm selling a leasehold flat. What on earth's a management company information pack? You know, that's an area that can cause a bit of delay. So we kind of explain that. But from the agent's perspective, I mentioned the word simple when we opened this broadcast, you know, and that's at the heart of Mio. It's to make the whole sales progression process simple so that if I'm relatively new into an agent's business and a branch, you know, I don't have to be truly well experienced, because Mio helps me in my learning and my understanding of the process by the way in which the information is laid out and the milestones. And actually, if agents are better equipped to understanding the process, then they can inform and advise their customers, and that helps to sort of, you know, guide them through that process. I've always said, you know, out of all of the different professions that are involved in a home moving transaction, to me, and you might disagree, but to me, it's the agent that truly owns that relationship, because they're the closest to the vendors and buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you were talking about introducing Simon, you were just simple. You were talking simple Simon. I thought you were just being a little bit cheeky at the beginning, but talk us through. I mean, obviously we're looking at it on screen here, but talk us through the actual process. How does it work from, like, literally, you know, from going onto the system, as you said before, there's a tiny bit of admin in terms of getting it on. Walk us through the process in terms of how it's normally used from there on.
Okay, well, I'm deliberately not going to give you a demo now on screen, because I want people to inquire, but it's super simple. So here we go. So, you know, rather than that default of building your chain in your CRM or on a piece of paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my Mio account, and first of all, I'm going to find out if someone else has already plugged my property into that chain. If not, I'm just going to search for the address, add my details in very quickly. 30 seconds, I've got my property record on there. And then I can just basically go through and use the Mio chain tools to start building out my chain. So if I'm building up, I'll add a link up, I'll search for the address, I'll find it, and then I'll associate it to the brand and the branch who are selling that property, and that pulls in that link. I can add my vendor details and my buyer details so that I can click a button to invite them to register for the app. And then really, when it comes to the sales progression, it's already done through that milestones tab. So everyone is working from a standard set of milestones, so that when you are navigating up and down the chain, it's very easy to interpret where everyone's at, because we're all talking the same talk.
John, thank you very much. Sounds very exciting. And I wish you all the very best in fixing, as you said, the broken system.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And thanks for all your support, Simon, and thanks for those recent referrals. And yeah, it's been great coming on your broadcast today.
Not a problem at all. Well, as long as you like the colour pink, you'll do all right here.
Well, I was last week when we were lined up to do this. I thought we were going to have a pink off, because I had my pink polo shirt on, but you know, it's in the wash, so I had to pull out a different colour.
It's a good job, but it just blended into the back together on here, and people wouldn't know what to look at. Great. Just to let you know again, as we said, this will be up on all the normal places, and we'll put it on your landing page as well, so anyone can kind of get a further view. John, once more, thank you very much.
Cheers. Fantastic. Take care, everyone.
See ya.